Hello, everyone, and welcome to the webinar. I'm super excited to have you all here today, and we have tons of content to cover in this program. I'm really can't wait to get into it. While we allow folks another minute or two to join the program, I'd love for you all to type into the question box, which is essentially your chat feature on GoToWebinar for today. Type into that question box where you're calling in from. My favorite part about doing these webinars is to see how it connects folks from all different corners of the world for one all-together meeting. So if you all could put into the chat where you're calling in from today, I'll call out some of the answers. For example, I'm over in Boston, Massachusetts. I love it here. It's just where I grew up. It's home, and I love to, be close to the beach and the city and the mountains, which is a really nice perk of New England because everything's so squished together. So we got our first few responses coming in here. We have Tiffany from Montreal, Bongi from Johannesburg, South Africa, welcome. Diane from Fayetteville, North Carolina, welcome. Elizabeth from the Philadelphia area, Jennifer from Arizona, welcome. Andrea from Bend, Oregon, welcome. Deb from Austin, Texas, welcome. Marcia from Wisconsin, welcome. JC from Texas, Lisa from Colorado, hi Lisa. Bob from Salt Lake City, Utah, hello Bob. Eric from Wisconsin, Autumn from Lancaster, Pennsylvania, welcome. Wow, tons of responses coming in right now. Jimmy from Yorktown, Virginia, welcome Jimmy. Ken from Toronto, Canada, welcome. Megan from Reno, Nevada, hello there, Megan. Love to see this coming in. It's just a really nice way to start off the webinar, just knowing that even though we're all sitting in completely different spaces right now, we're all joining on this webinar, taking time out of our day to improve our social media marketing. So give yourselves a pat on the back for showing up today and joining all folks, other folks just like you from across the world to learn and improve on your marketing strategies. I'm really excited to get into this. So with that being said, we're going to get started here. And I just want to first cover a few housekeeping items with you all. So for the logistics from today, the webinar will be recorded. So don't worry about taking notes or anything like that. You'll have the materials sent to your inbox later today. And you can also easily find our webinar recordings on the LocaliQ and WordStream YouTube channels. So if you ever want to check out some of our past webinars that you may have missed, definitely check that out. We post all of our recordings on there. So again, once again, because I know this comes up a lot, the webinar will be recorded, so you'll be able to access that recording later. Also, if you've attended any of our past webinars, you know that one of the best parts about this type of program is we do a Q&A session at the end. The last few have been some really in-depth Q&A sessions, so make sure that you're using that question box that I all had you just practice using to submit your questions throughout, which I'll be able to monitor, and then also save your questions for the Q&A session in the end, where I'll be able to answer all of the questions that you may have remaining. So definitely stick around for that. I love doing that and just being able to have an open conversation with you all about your questions on marketing. So for everyone on this call today, welcome again. I want to get us all on the same page as to who LocaliQ is. Now, some of you might already be familiar with LocaliQ. You might even already be working with LocaliQ, which is wonderful, so welcome. Some of you might be totally new. Welcome to you all as well. And then some of you might be familiar with or working with our sister brands, ReachLocal and WordStream. So for everyone on this call today, please understand that LocaliQ is a fully integrated growth marketing platform that basically marries innovative technology and unparalleled expertise and service to give your business the tools it needs to thrive and prosper. And how exactly do we do that? Well, at our core is technology. So we are constantly making data-backed decisions for our clients using insights that we've gathered from over 1 million LocaliQ campaigns that we've run over the years. And we're always adding in optimization and AI technology to constantly be optimizing for you that you can't find really anywhere else. So we also do offer a suite of solutions, tools at your fingertips to put more time back into your day. And at the end of the day, we have proven results to kind of back how we approach marketing, right? We've been in the marketing game for over 15 years, which is pretty crazy to think about, because if you think about the age of digital marketing, it's not much older than that. So we've really been through all the different ebbs and flows of the landscape, and we've rose to the top to help other folks kind of get through all these changes that we're seeing in the space today. Another thing that I like to mention to folks is that LocaliQ is a premier partner with all the major advertising platforms. Now, this is something we're really proud of because it's not an easy feat that's just handed out to any business like ours. It's only granted to agencies, marketing partners, or platforms that maximize campaign success for customers, demonstrate clear platform skills and expertise, and we also meet very rigorous requirements in terms of client growth and retention and more. Also, a common question that I get asked on these webinars is, where can you find out more about the topics that we cover on these webinars here? Where can you find out more about LocaliQ and what we do? So definitely check out our websites. We are also on social media, so head to LocaliQ or wordstream.com. You can check out our blogs if you ever have questions or want to spend a little bit more time on a certain topic that we cover in these webinars. But also make sure to give us a follow on LocaliQ is on any of the major platforms. So LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. And of course, this is a social media driven webinar topic today. So I expect all of you to go and follow because we're all here to talk about social media. So this will be your first little homework assignment. And then WordStream is on a few platforms as well. Again, we do just share different types of information, different pieces or articles that we've written, any sort of platform updates that advertisers should be aware of. We also share out different events if you want to find out about more webinars like this and more. So here we'll do a quick introduction of myself. So it's wonderful to meet you all. I'm going to be your webinar host and speaker today. My name is Susie. It's great to have you all here with me. And my role currently at LocaliQ is I'm a senior content marketing specialist where I write educational content on everything under the marketing sun, from PPC to SEO to social ads to organic social to email marketing. Literally anything and everything I've written about it. And how I got to this position was I formerly was a digital marketing consultant working with businesses just like you all on this call today through the day-to-day of best practices for their digital marketing strategies. So I used that real life experience of working with different accounts and applied it to the educational content that I write on the LocaliQ and WordStream blogs today. A fun fact about me is like I mentioned in the beginning of the webinar, I'm based out of Boston, born and raised here. I love it. Sadly, this is actually kind of an unpopular opinion that I have, but it's fast approaching my least favorite season. Actually, it's officially summer as of yesterday. I prefer the cold, which a lot of people don't relate to. I love to go snowboarding on the weekends when I'm not at work. So just looking forward to the next snow season. And I'm already feeling the heat up here. So you all can follow me on LinkedIn and Twitter if you'd like as well. I do post a lot of updates, a lot of the different pieces that we focus on, any of the webinar events and so on there from the LocaliQ and WordStream accounts. So definitely check that out. Great, so if you've attended any of our past webinars, you know I love to keep our attendees on their toes, so I'm gonna warm you all up with a quick pop quiz. So I want you to type into the question box, which of these marketing channels, and I know there's a lot here, but just think for a second, which do you feel like brings your business the best results? And when I say the best results, I don't mean like the most conversions, right? Because those conversions, depending on the platform, could come at a very different cost. So I want you to think a little holistically here. You know, what channels do you feel like you've had the most success with, you know, overall, you know, the best bang for your buck, the best ROI, you've acquired the most leads, the most customers, you feel the most comfortable with it, you've been doing it the longest. I would love to just hear from that. So let's see. I'll call out some of the responses here as you all enter. Christine says paid social ads has worked best for her. Carl says other. I'd love to hear some of those other platforms you all are focusing on. Ashley says she also focuses on paid social ads. Cindy, Wayne, and Ken all said search ads. Very interesting. Wow, a lot of others coming in as well. A few folks are calling out SEO, definitely can be effective. Natalie said email, definitely can be effective as well, Natalie. Charlie said display and video, of course, that's a go-to for a lot of businesses as well. So a lot of folks, some people calling out, Kathy called out organic social marketing, very interesting. So the beauty of doing an exercise like this, as you all are entering your responses, and thank you for this, but the beauty of doing this, right, is if you noticed, all of the responses that I just called out were very different from one another. So keep that in mind as we're going through this webinar today. Everybody's business is different. And everyone on this call is in a different situation and has different experiences on different platforms, right? So what might work for your business might not work for the next. That's totally okay. And I'm going to try and approach this topic today with that in mind. But I just kind of want you all to be thinking about, what channels are you relying on? Maybe you're leaning into it too much and you haven't branched out or tried a different channel. So we're going to talk a little bit about how social can interact into an overall cross-channel strategy. So we'll definitely talk about that a little bit today. So a quick agenda on what we're going to be covering. So we'll warm you all up with just some social media trends, just going to quickly address the social media landscape today. And then we're going to talk a little bit about some social strategies to keep in mind. And there's kind of just one holy grail strategy that I love to just dig into there. So we're going to check that out. And then we're going to go platform by platform and also finish off with some thought starters. So checking out first how the social posts and ads activity has changed or evolved in 2023. Well, I think we can all resonate with this statistic, but the average person is now spending 2.5 hours, if not more, on social media daily, and across all platforms, pretty much we saw an increase in time spent. So again, like that is a long time. To put that into perspective, 2.5 hours is longer than a flight from Boston to New York or Chicago to Miami. It's longer than most movies that you sit down and watch. So people are really spending a good chunk of their day every day scrolling social media. And I do it, I'm guilty of it. I'm sure all of you have probably hopped onto social media at least on a weekly basis, I'm sure on a daily basis. So, kind of get into that consumer mindset for a second. Like if you think that your target audience, your target ideal customer isn't on social media, in 2023, they probably are. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. So just a few social trends with that. So we know that usage has just gone up across the board. And there's also a ton of stats out there that, also exemplify that not only has usage gone up, but usage from businesses has gone up. So if you're not on social media using paid or organic social marketing, your odds are your competition is. So let's kind of talk about some general trends that you can know to kind of have a leg up there, right? So what is going to be kind of the hot and popular trends for social media? First and foremost, we're going to say, and I don't think this is a surprise to anybody, that TikTok is definitely continuing to be on the rise. It was the #1 downloaded app in the US alone for a 3rd year in a row this past year. So it's still growing. I know that there's been definitely mixed opinions and messaging about TikTok over the years since it released, around that time of the pandemic. But at the end of the day, it's still growing. People are still using it. So if you're not on TikTok yet, you definitely want to get on there. I know that can be difficult for a lot of businesses, especially if you feel like it doesn't always fit your vertical, if you're like B2B or something like that. Although there is tons of stats out there about how TikTok is actually effective for B2B businesses. That's just one example. But definitely you want to get on there, at least posting organically. Obviously it's not feasible to just, dump a bunch of budget into like a TikTok ad campaign. That's going to take a little bit of a longer time to build out, but there are things that can help you get started. For example, you have the TikTok Creative Center that basically they have a lot of tools out there now to help businesses just grow and create new types of content. Like TikTok wants your business to be on there, so it's giving you a lot of options and tools to make it as easy as possible for you. And then the other thing is I think a lot of folks worry about growing on TikTok because it is kind of a saturated space right now because of that stat that we saw of its growth. What I want you to try and do is cross promote your TikTok. So if you are, let's say if you are creating a TikTok video, you can easily repost that as a reel on Instagram. And then that way you're squeezing all that much more out of the TikTok content that you create. That's just one example. You can link to TikToks on LinkedIn. You can link to TikToks on any other platform as well. You can also invite your customers or your audience to follow you. There's a lot of different ways that you can cross promote to promote this and to capture more users. Because if you're not on this platform and there are potential customers on here that are primarily users of TikTok and not the other platforms that you're on, then you're missing out on that audience. So that's just one like quick trend to get us started. And then another thing, and this I found interesting, is that personalization within social media is so, so important. And at first glance, I kind of was like, all right, well, what does that mean? Because how can you personalize like a social ad or social post? At the end of the day, you don't know exactly who's going to see it, but you probably have an idea, right? Or you can get an idea using social media analytical platforms. This is an example of just a very high level view of a social ad report from our marketing dashboard, where you can just see just generalizations about your audience that can really help you make a decision when it comes to creating content. So like if the majority of your audience is, you know, in this example, females that are age 65 plus, then I might cater some types of content that would fit that category or so on. So it's not really more like, you know, when people think personalization, they think like inserting the customer's first name into the post. Like obviously that's not possible. But if you just try and drill down your content a little bit more, I think a lot of us are focused on promoting our business, which obviously you want to be, but you also want to be thinking about what's going to resonate most with your target audience. And that's going to be different depending on who like the majority of your users are. So again, if I'm, you know, working with a younger or older demographic, a younger demographic, maybe I'll make more short form videos, and, you know, and then for an older demographic, I could definitely use like longer form text ads or something like that. So that's just an example. So just be thinking about that a little bit more, try and get it into the shoes of your user. I know it sounds kind of silly, but like, you know, really sit down and picture who your ideal customer is. You know, what do they do all day? What do they look like? What's their, you know, family like? What might they do for work? You know, what kind of incomes do they have? That can tell you a lot about what their lifestyle will be, how much they're going to be on social media, what platforms they might be on, what types of content they might prefer, and so on. So another thing that is definitely no secret to anyone, I think, is that selling and buying on social media is now super common. So, you know, it used to be back in the day, you were really just using social media for like connecting with friends and family, you're posting, you're seeing your other friends post, you're liking those types of things, maybe slowly starting to get some information about other businesses. But now you can make purchases directly off platforms. So for example, in this example here, you know, you're on Instagram, you view the shop, you can click on a product and you can buy it right then and there. So it is a lot more common. It is on the rise, and there are a lot more tools to make folks have the ability to buy off your page. So try taking, you know, some standout product pictures. You can also recycle that into posts or ads. Also try and show your products and services in action to try and stand out, because I'm sure we've all seen it as users. Again, just kind of getting into that consumer's lens or shoes for a second. We've all seen posts like this probably at this point, right? So when you want to stand out from the typical like carousel product, you know, post, you could be creating a video that could show like how a customer is happy with your product or your service and so on. And again, like when we're talking about products or selling and buying on social media, I know a lot that feels exclusive to a lot of folks. So like a lot of folks might assume, well, I'm not an e-commerce business, so, you know, I'm not really going to benefit from this trend. But you can promote and have people purchase or book services just as easily as you can have somebody buy a product or, you know, sign up for a demo if it's a longer sales cycle and so on. So another last theme, and I think we're seeing this across the digital marketing landscape. I know we're all sick of hearing it, but we have to talk about it, right? AI, right? So artificial intelligence, using artificial intelligence or using machine learning to help boost or shape your social strategy. So you can use AI in a few different ways on social media, and it really can be a time saver for businesses. I know firsthand a few businesses that are already using it to do things like create captions or you know, create video content. So video is of course not only a nice to have tactic anymore, it's a need to have, right? So we need to be posting video content. There's tons of stats out there that show that consumers are preferring video content these days on social media, especially with the rise of platforms that are video based, such as TikTok or Instagram, right? Instagram used to be primarily photo based, but let's face it, if any of us hop on Instagram right now, it's all video. So I think, you know, using AI to kind of create some of those creative assets that you might not have had access to previously is a really good way to take advantage of AI. And also you can use it to maximize your typical social user's experience. So if you want to, try to use AI to create, a cool lens or filter on Snapchat for your business, or potentially, create some interactive posts that you can quickly post, or even, using it to help you plan and schedule your social calendar, it can all be helpful. So definitely taking that into account. So now that we know the trends, you probably know where you want to head with your social ads or posts. Let's talk about what else you should be thinking about, and that is a diversified marketing strategy. So a diversified marketing strategy where you're not just relying on social posts and ads is a happy marketing strategy, and here's why. So basically you want to shoot for the left-hand side of this image here. You want to have a cross-channel marketing experience for your customers, and social is really important for this, right? So basically, as you're creating, this amazing video content or whatever it might be on any of the social platforms, you also need to be echoing that same or similar experience across your other channels. So I want you all to be thinking about your marketing very holistically. And I think that can be tricky when you hop onto a webinar like this and you're here to just focus on one specific channel, right? You're probably in the mindset or have that tunnel vision on social media, social ads, I need to be on social. You definitely do, but you also need to be in every other possible touch point in the buyer's journey, which we know is constantly evolving, right? Because people are on their different devices all day, every day. They're hopping from one device to another. They're hopping from one site to another. So they might, see a social ad and then hop to search to find out more about your business. And then they still might not convert. They still might need to think about it a little bit, and then they get served a remarketing ad on a display eligible website, and then they finally click and convert. So there's so many different ways that people can understand and learn about your business. There's tons of endless competition out there, so people are just being a little bit more thoughtful because all of this information is so accessible now. They're being more thoughtful with their buying decisions, and that's why you need to have this, elevated cross-channel strategy that basically it's not really different from what you might be doing now. It's more just about providing a consistent experience, right? So if you are promoting something on social media, keep in mind that somebody might later, go on a Google and do a search. I want those messages that they see on social and they see on search to be very similar, right? So that can help maintain that brand consistency, that authenticity, and that credibility. So here's some more reasons why you should be shooting for this cross-channel, all-encompassing strategy here. So basically, if customers are coming to your business from more than one channel, if they're, seeing your business and clicking and converting, or buying, purchasing, or, booking appointments, a few different ways over time, if they come back as loyal customers, they'll end up spending more. So you can do that by, again, driving that brand awareness, that brand loyalty through that brand consistency across channels. Also, people are expecting that consistent, clear, reliable experience across different channels. So as they jump from one website or one platform to the next, they want to know what to expect from your business. So cross-channel marketing can help you do that. So as you're focusing on your social marketing here, I do want you to just be keeping in mind your other channels as we continue to talk through the different platforms and some different ideas and tactics. Think about, all right, what am I going to be promoting on social, and how can I also promote that on other channels? And here's some channels to consider when you're, employing your social media marketing or ads. What else might complement those social posts and ads? So be thinking about other things that, can help promote your business, like, for example, live chat, right, on your website. So 40% of customers at minimum are expecting a live chat experience on a business's website today, in this day and age. So they are looking for live chat, and live chat can be really quick and easy to just promote your business a little bit more, give an extra push once users are already on your site. And the reason why I say that is, let's say somebody, clicks on a social ad, right? They go to your website. What's that experience once they get there? Is your website optimized? Is the landing page optimized? Is there a little chat feature that pops up and just gives suggestions to try and guide them to actually convert? That can be really helpful. There's tons of other, possible potential platforms and channels here. They're all great. It's kind of like picking a favorite child for me because I love digital marketing so much. display can be really effective for driving impressions and clicks. Video, of course, as well. Remarketing, of course, can be effective for just, again, getting people to come back to your business. You can do mobile-based or text-based advertising and messaging as well. OTT advertising is really on the rise with the rise of streaming services and platforms. So that's, video-based ads that would show on like a streaming service in between, like a show that somebody was watching. They'll see the ad, they generate some impressions, and then they actually go and, search or something like that. And I think that is another experience that a lot of us can relate to. So think about the last time maybe you were sitting on your couch watching TV, you probably were going through a streaming service and you probably had your phone within reach, right? So when you do that and you see an ad and you want to look up a little bit more, you want to learn more, that OTT ad could then spark that reach for your phone so that you can look up that business. So really some just other channels to consider as you're thinking about your social media and social advertising marketing. So now it's time to get into the social media platforms. And before I dig into this, I want us all to take a second here, right? This is a lot of information on one slide. I completely understand and realize that, but there is a reason why I put this on here. So this image is from our WordStream blog on the biggest, baddest social media platforms for 2023. So of course, there are other social media platforms outside of this, and I want you all to keep that in mind as we go through these different platforms in my next few slides. Like, I'm not saying that these are the only social platforms that you all should be on. There's other platforms like Reddit, for example, or, a few others on the rise right now that you can totally try out as well. Pinterest is another example as well. You can and totally should be on there. But we have really in-depth data on these major platforms because they're so popular from the user perspective, right? There's tons of users on these platforms and tons of opportunities for your business. So as I go through this, just know that you can easily find this image on the blog. And also, friendly reminder to everyone listening here today, this webinar is recorded. You will get to see the slides in your inbox later. You'll have the recording easily accessible in your inbox later. And again, you'll be able to find the recording on our YouTube channel. So you can also go ahead into YouTube and, go ahead and pause it at this point. But I want you all to just kind of take a high-level bird's eye view at all the social media platforms you have at hand for you, right? So I'm kind of taking my time here so that you can scan through and get a little bit of some bite-sized information of the platforms you care about most. That's why I wanted to show this. I know it's overwhelming, but I think it's helpful for folks to just kind of zoom in very quickly to who they might want to go after and where they might be. So of course, our major platforms are going to be, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, TikTok, Snapchat, all super viable for your business, all have great paid and organic options as well. So when we're talking about paid and organic strategies, a lot of folks are always wondering like which might be better. We'll go through that a little bit too, but basically, as you see with the different types of content and strategies that you find here, you can kind of start to understand, like, for example, Twitter is better for ads if you're going on after a male demographic, or Snapchat is also better for ads if you have a lot of video content, versus, Instagram, it can definitely be beneficial for organic content. So if you have limited marketing budget, that doesn't mean that you can't be on all of these platforms. You absolutely can. I don't expect you to pay a ton for a ton of ads across all these platforms. I don't think that's realistic for any business or a smart, marketing decision for anyone out there, even, the super big brands out there. But I think, you can kind of switch and pivot your budget to fit into all of these different platforms. So again, for example, if Instagram works out better for you for organic, great, rely and lean into organic on Instagram, and then take that marketing budget that you're saving and put it towards, Twitter, Snapchat ads, or whatever it may be. So again, I'm going to move on from this. I know it was a lot of information at once. You can definitely revisit it as you get the materials in your inbox later. I'm going to show another image very similar to this, but don't worry, I do break it down piece by piece on the following slides. So again, this is just another way to view it. just a little bit more digestible here, a little bit zoomed out on the different ways that you can use these platforms. And we're also including some cons in this example too, because while we talk about the benefits, a lot of these different platforms, also keep in mind the cons so that you can avoid anything that might cause issue for your business. So for example, if you really struggle with organic reach, then you might not need to spend a ton of time on your Facebook organic posts. You might need to focus more on Facebook ads, right? And so on. So you can definitely dig in a little bit here, but I actually do break out this visual in the next few slides, so you will see this again. So let's take a closer look platform by platform. So at the top of our list, the big players, of course, are Facebook and Instagram. So just kind of keeping in mind with Facebook and Instagram, I think Facebook and Instagram, in my experience, is usually the easiest to pre-plan. And when you're a busy marketer or business owner or agency owner or whatever you may be on this call today, let's face it, we all don't have a ton of the time in the day. So when you want to be posting on Facebook or Instagram, make sure that those posts are already pre-programmed, good to go. You can just set them live, right? So you want to be pre-planning your post ad copy and creative. We do have a social media marketing calendar template easily found for free on the LookLikeU website. So definitely check that out. That can help you pre-plan your social posts pretty easily. It's a pretty basic, easy to follow template, but definitely be pre-planning your posts and your ad copy and your creative, especially because Facebook and Instagram are so visually led now too. You really need to have tightened up creative. So making sure that those images are looking great, maybe leveraging a tool like Canva or a marketing partner to create some visuals for you are another great way to just really create some standout visuals that are going to help your business stand out from the crowd, because at the end of the day, we know that Facebook and Instagram are a pretty saturated space. Also, speaking of the saturation in the space, you also want to be analyzing your competition on Facebook and Instagram. Since these are such major platforms, I can almost guarantee that your competitors are on Facebook and Instagram right now. So I would love for you all after this webinar to be running to your competitors' Facebook or Instagram business page and just see what they're posting, see what they might be promoting, see what types of posts they're putting out there, right? Because it's not just the standard text and photo posts that we were used to when Facebook and Instagram first came out. There's, video posts and video ads, there's carousel ads, there's product shopping ads, and then there's also, things like reels and live stories and live, so you can go on and on with that. So definitely kind of just check that out so that you can get ideas and inspiration for your own posts. You obviously don't want to be copying what your competitor is doing, but you do want to be kind of taking note and seeing how you can get a leg up on that by doing kind of the same tactics. Also, make sure that you're assessing your target market. I know I've said this a million times, and do I think that anyone on here hasn't thought about their target market? No, I know you all know your target market like the back of your hand, right? But there's always more ways that you can dig in and think outside the box. So that's kind of my point here. There's endless targeting options when it comes to Facebook or Instagram ads, or even if you're boosting like an organic post, right? There's tons of ways that you can kind of cross layer your targeting parameters to really hone in on like a certain type of audience. So maybe thinking outside the box a little bit. So for example, I was just thinking about this example yesterday, but like, let's say you're a higher education business, like a university or college or something, and you're running a recruitment strategy, you're trying to get more students, to become aware of your college or university. You obviously, if you're doing like interest-based targeting on Facebook, might default to like education or masters, interest in masters, or audiences that fit those types of interests. But if you think about kind of just the general lifestyle of that target market, right, probably young adults, so they're probably also interested in fitting the lifestyle of like going out to live events, going to sports games, things like that. Those are other types of audiences that you could also like cross target to promote your university and get awareness into the right kind of audience. So for Twitter, which is the kind of the next platform that I go into here, You know, I also think that a lot of people forget about the options that they have when it comes to tweets these days. So similar to how I was talking about, there's tons of different post types available for Facebook and Instagram. There are tons of different types of ways that you can enhance your tweets. So if we remember back in the day, tweets were pretty basic. But now you can include things like links, you can include images, you can even include videos in your tweets. So try to build out your tweets a little bit more. Try not to just rely on like kind of the basic tweets there. There's also tons of different ad formats on Twitter available as well that I think a lot of people forget about. Like they have carousel ads in the same way that Instagram or Facebook do. So if you find that you have success in a certain ad format on a different platform, try and see if you can mimic that on Twitter. It could be just as successful. Also, hashtags, of course, are a go-to to help tweets get more visibility. And I think a lot of businesses forget this, so just wanted to put that reminder in there as well. Again, I know Twitter isn't always like the go-to for a lot of businesses, but it can still be very beneficial to a lot of folks out there. There's a huge user base still to this day, so definitely be keeping that in mind. TikTok, of course, is the hot platform that everybody wants to talk about. And when I say that, I'm kidding, because I'm sure you're all sick of probably hearing about TikTok. But at the end of the day, like I said, it's on the rise. So we can't avoid TikTok. We want to be on TikTok. And the reason why is because there is, again, a huge growing user base. And there's tons of things that you can do here. You can leverage influencer marketing. So like if you're like, all right, get real, Susie, I'm not going to be doing a TikTok dance in front of my phone to promote my business. I get that, right? But I do think there are still ways that you can promote your business, whether it be leaning into an influencer to do it for you, or to create, an ad, partner with another small business, things like that. But the basics of what we've seen that have worked so far for TikTok videos for businesses is to first be short and sweet, right? We know that our attention spans are sadly dwindling, but also since TikTok is based on short form video, you really need to pack a punch quick, right? Because people are just scrolling through those videos. And if your video isn't compelling within the first few seconds, you're probably gonna just get scrolled on right past, right? So just making sure that you keep your videos as short as possible and as to the point as possible will really help you. So making sure that your message is clear up front to hook your audience in. Also, I think like this is a good example of kind of that joke I just made of like, all right, I know it's not realistic that we're all going to be doing TikTok dances, and it's not, right? I want you to all be feeling like you can be authentically yourselves on TikTok. And that's what users are looking for, because in these days, since the space is so saturated, like I've said, users can smell and feel and see from a mile away if your business is trying to fit into a trend that just doesn't fit with your core values or your lifestyle or what you're promoting or your business in general. So, no, you don't have to follow trends and do like a TikTok dance, but, just doing like a behind the scenes of your business that feels more authentic can be just as effective. Or a day in the life of your life promoting your business, or as a business owner, or a day in the life of your principal or CEO or chairman, or whoever it may be. Like those are just examples of how you can make videos that are just a little bit more authentic. Using customer testimonial videos, just another great way to create those into a short form video for TikTok and so on. Now, while I say you don't have to like follow a ton of trends on TikTok to still be successful, you do want to use some of the popular formats or audio clips to be easily found, right? Because that's how people are finding TikToks and duetting TikToks and, interested into certain types of audio clips. So, I don't expect you to just go to the drawing board with all these authentic, realistic ideas for TikTok videos. Don't be afraid to just go out into the TikTok world, scroll around, see what your competitors are posting, see what's popular, and maybe you'll spark some ideas or some inspiration for your own videos using trending audio. So moving on, I think a lot of folks love LinkedIn, and I don't blame them because if you're trying to promote your business, usually your decision makers will end up on LinkedIn, depending on your vertical, of course. But for all the folks on here that want to talk about LinkedIn a little bit, of course, it's going to be good for professionals. We know that. But you can also just, again, get some really nice lean and mean targeting strategies in there. And that's why I called out mastering your ad targeting on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is one of those platforms, like I've called out with a few of the others, that has like really intricate targeting options that are great for businesses. So you can really hone in and lean into that and get into the exact type of person that you want. So go ahead and try that and make sure that you're creating, personalized content to that. Also, one differentiator for LinkedIn that I think a lot of people get worried about, but I've noticed this more and more these days, is that you can include a lot more content in your LinkedIn posts or ads than you can on other platforms. So, we tend to see longer form posts on LinkedIn. People have a little bit more patience because they're more likely like scrolling on, well, over 80%, or I think it's like over 80% of social media users are on social media on a mobile device. I know that a lot of LinkedIn users are also probably scrolling on desktop. They have a little bit more time and patience to read through longer posts. So don't be afraid to add a little bit more context, take advantage of that, because you don't always have that, right? Other platforms, it's always like very short form, very limited character counts. You don't have a ton of room to get across a lot of information. So lean into LinkedIn to convey all of the additional information about your business that you feel like you haven't been able to convey elsewhere. And even if you're a B2C business, right, where you might not be necessarily targeting like professionals, you can still use this to, again, just get your business, your brand awareness out there. And now we're going back to that cross-channel, approach, where if a consumer does end up on LinkedIn and they see your business, you're delivering that consistent experience. And while I say, don't rely on text-based posts, we also have this notion that, you can get away with just a long LinkedIn post with just text. While I said you can include more text, make sure there's like a photo or a video there to go along with it. It'll help you stand out on the feed a little bit more. And it's just a little bit of a different approach. I think a lot of people rely or lean into the fact that, you can get away with just a text-based post on LinkedIn, but you don't want to just get away with what everyone else is doing. You want your business to stand out, right? So you want to add in some photos or videos there too. And then for Snapchat, of course, Snapchat is a huge platform for a lot of businesses too. I know a lot of folks assume that it's just this super young demo of like 13 to 17, but huge other demo is 25 to 34, because if we think about when Snapchat first came out, those people that started with Snapchat have all grown up and now using it, and then the younger generation is also using it too. So definitely make sure that you're digging into Snapchat a little bit more. I think a lot of businesses can turn their nose up at it because they feel like it's not as effective for promoting their business, but there's a ton of ways that you can promote your business on Snapchat. You can do stories, you can have influencers also promoting your business on Snapchat too, which is a great strategy to go through there. There's tons of different campaign goals for Snapchat ads. So if you want to kind of test out to see how you can optimize to maximize your conversions, I love doing that, kind of just testing some different campaign goals to see, how the algorithm is going to game that for me and how that's going to work for me. So that's definitely interesting as well. And then there's some great analytics and reporting right from within the Snapchat platform for businesses. So definitely take advantage of that too, because that can, of course, help you to make more data-backed marketing decisions. And then a lot of times when I talk about social media, a lot of people will be like, well, what about YouTube, right? So I wanted to do, for all of you folks out there that have been asking for that, an honorable mention for YouTube. Is YouTube a social media platform? That's kind of like when you ask someone if a tomato is a fruit, right? Like, I know by definition, I think a tomato is a fruit, but let's face it, we're not eating a tomato like a fruit. We're eating it like a vegetable in our salads or whatever it may be. So is YouTube a social media platform? In a way, yes. In a way, it's more of like a video-based advertising platform as well. It fits the technical definition of social media platform, but how similar does that feel to what else you're putting out there on social platforms? YouTube is a whole nother beast, right? So that's kind of my point there, but I do want to talk about it a little bit because it is very similar to other social platforms out there, and it's really important for your business to be on YouTube. So I didn't want to go through a whole social webinar without talking about it, because it is really important. And the reason why is it has a huge user base. There's also like endless things that you can do on YouTube now. I mean, we saw the rise of YouTube Shorts, which you should definitely be taking advantage of. And again, reminder, if you're creating Instagram Reels or you're creating TikToks, then you already have your YouTube Short ready to go, right? So you upload that, you create your YouTube Shorts as well. You know, again, creating that varying video content. So you could do like some organic videos. You could do video ads through Google and have them show up on YouTube. You could do display ads that also through Google that also show up on YouTube. So again, running ads directly on YouTube and then building out your channel organically too. So like one example is, I think a lot of businesses, and I've seen it myself when I'm looking for businesses that I even work with, you know, I'm a consumer of on YouTube, is they neglect their channel. And it can really boost your business if you just take a few minutes to just like write out your YouTube channel description, right? And maybe keyword optimize it so that when people are searching on YouTube, they can quickly find your channel. Building out the descriptions on your video ads as well, or your videos, your organic videos too. You can also do that. There's just a lot of ways that you can promote your business, make sure that you're showing up in YouTube search results and so on. So that is why I wanted to mention YouTube, definitely a good platform to keep in mind. So I know I just went through a ton of information, and again, pat yourselves on the back for showing up and sticking through all of that because it is a lot, right? So let's kind of just round up or recap what we just talked about before I jump into the Q&A with you all. So how can you get more leads from your social posts and ads? Well, first and foremost, you want to be using both social posts and ads, right? We talked about that. So it is important to be leaning into both organic and paid social media because that'll, again, create that cross-channel approach that I was talking about. We also saw that there's a lot of different ways that you can test and approach your social ads and your social posts. So you want to be patient, right? Because you're going to be testing a lot. So with tests, you don't always get the results that you were expecting or that you're hoping for right away, right? So I always joke that the hardest part of digital marketing is patience, and it is true, right? So as much as we want results off social and we want those leads off social right away, you know, take a step back and understand that it's going to take a little bit of time. I say for like any paid campaign, minimum 14 days. So minimum 2 weeks, you need to let that bad boy run before you can really understand, you know, how many clicks or ad or conversions or how effective it really is for your business. Ideally 30 though, right? So that way you can get a full month of data to compare month over month and really get an understanding of, you know, in the long run, how is this going to work for me? So especially when you're taking into consideration things like the learning period with the different platforms algorithms. So every platform has like a machine learning asset to it that's going to be looking and testing different ways to serve your ad or your post to get you the most engagement possible. So when you're first starting out, you might have fluctuations in your performance because of that learning period. That's totally normal and okay. It's just the hard part is holding on through that, right? So just keeping that in mind, you know, I would love if we could all get results off social media ads and social posts right away. But at the end of the day, that's just not realistic. So we need to remember to be patient and collect as much data as possible while we're making these marketing decisions. Also know that you're not alone. I did call out a few different like analytics platforms that you can use and different platforms that have different reports. And again, even the LocaliQ marketing dashboard and LocaliQ's a suite of solutions are all here to help you. So you're not alone when it comes to wanting to grow on social media, right? Even today, right, we're seeing hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of folks, if not thousands, on this call right now that all want to grow their business on social media. So you're not alone in this. You know, it can be really discouraging when you start out in a new channel, you don't know what's, you know, totally going on, you don't feel 100% confident yet in what you're sending out there to your audience. That's okay. Lean into the tools and the resources at hand to help you optimize and feel as confident as you can in your strategy. So know that you don't have to, you know, become a social media expert overnight. I always say there isn't one sole person, not even me who's running this webinar right now, not even the, you know, CEO of any of these platforms. There's not one person out there that knows everything that there is to know about digital marketing and social media marketing. So it's just more about, holding on through that learning curve, understanding the trends, and knowing how to game kind of the different algorithms to maximize the most results for your business. And then this kind of leads into my last point too, but just know, as you saw with the trends that I talked about very briefly, the social media landscape is constantly evolving. There's tons of different platform changes coming our way, being thrown at us at all the time. So if you can be nimble and flexible with your strategy, with your budgets, that's going to make all the difference in your experience and your success on your cross-channel, ideally, social strategy, right? So again, not being married to one set budget. I think a lot of us also get hung up on a certain audience or a certain campaign because we really feel strongly like it could work for our business, maybe because we've seen that in the past or so on. But at the end of the day, you want to be putting effort, resources, and money into the campaigns or the different channels that are going to maximize the most for your business. So don't be afraid if something that isn't working out that you totally anticipated to work out doesn't. That's okay. You just need to be agile and quickly pivot and flex your strategy to try something else and try something different, and be open to that. So again, this is something that I say on all of our webinars, and I love it. But if there's one thing that you all take away from all of this today, is always, 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 always have a backup plan. And that's why cross-channel strategy or leveraging multiple social media platforms is so important, right? Because if one strategy, one campaign, one platform starts to sink, you're still promoting your business elsewhere and still driving leads and getting customers no matter what, right? So you always want to be thinking, all right, if this campaign works out how I want it to, great. What am I going to do next to, scale up or to squeeze more out of that? And if it doesn't work out how I want it to, totally fine. But what am I going to try next? So always be kind of thinking ahead with that backup plan. Can really make all the difference when it comes to driving leads on social media. So with that being said, we're going to switch into the Q&A portion of the webinar. And while we do that, I am going to go ahead and launch a quick poll on your screen. So if you all want to go ahead and opt in your selection for this poll here, we're going to launch that right now so that you can enter in your answers. So let me just launch that. So give me 1 second here. All right, perfect. So now that we have that webinar up for you all, basically that's just there if you feel like you have more questions, or I see a lot of questions coming in about specific situations or specific scenarios with individual businesses. This is where you could talk to an expert separately. I highly recommend it if you have more questions or just want more help on social media, which I know we could all use. So we're going to keep that up for the remainder of the webinar. So go ahead, and we're switching into an audio portion of the webinar. So go ahead and enter your poll results and sit back and relax while we go through the Q&A portion. So gonna leave that poll up. It is going to take over the rest of your screen, and you can just listen into this Q&A portion. So for Q&A, drop in your questions now. If you haven't already, there's tons and tons of questions coming in. So definitely keep those questions coming in. Somebody asked, Antonio asked, what about Google ads, Microsoft ads? Good question. I did kind of allude to that in the cross-channel portion of the webinar, where I was talking about promoting your business on search and on social. So Google ads and Microsoft ads can definitely be beneficial to your business and complement your social strategy. I wouldn't necessarily consider them social by nature, but like I said, you could, again, be advertising your business on platforms like YouTube and so on. So definitely good question there. Great questions coming in. tons of them here. Brittany asked a really good question. How often each week should we be posting on each platform? Great question, Brittany. This is probably going to be the case for a lot of your Q&A questions today, you all, but I have a fun answer for you, which is, of course, there is no right or wrong or black and white answer. However, we have tons of information on the best times to post on every platform across the Local IQ and WordStream blogs, so definitely check that out. Basically, it's just going to really vary by platform. So like, for example, the average business on Instagram posts actually daily. And when I say post, that could be a story, right? It could be a reel, it could be an organic post, it could be an ad. So just thinking about that, you know, whereas you would be posting daily on Instagram, you know, we tend to find folks are leaning into maybe, you know, 2 to 3 times a week on LinkedIn, so a little bit less frequently there. Twitter obviously is more frequently, so you can kind of see the trends as a user yourself as well, but definitely would recommend that. Frankie asked if Local IQ offers Facebook advertising services. We absolutely do. Good question. We do. Cheyenne asks, how do you use social media to effectively target older generations who didn't grow up in the world of technology? Definitely can understand that that's a tricky task. I would lean into platforms like, you know, Facebook has a huge older demographic, user demographic, other platforms like that as well. I would just keep the strategy lean, mean, and simple, right? So you want to have, you know, clear and concise ads and posts that have a clearly called out CTA so that folks who aren't as, you know, comfortable with these types of platforms know exactly what you're trying to get out of it. Also try and relate to them. I think a lot of any demographic wants to find, again, that personalized content. So maybe try and make some types of content that would be a little bit more interactive or drive a little bit more engagement. So for example, you might be hitting, you know, a humor post, and then, you know, you get all these laugh reactions and things like that. That can help drive engagement for your target audience. So tons of other really specific questions for different businesses. Again, that is why that poll is up, so that you can get your specific individual questions answered. Great questions coming in here. Chris asked an interesting question. He asked, what is the absolute minimum you can spend and get some ROI? It's so expensive and I don't have the budget. Chris, know that you're not alone. I think everyone on this call can relate to the feeling of like your budget isn't high enough, or you don't have enough budget to really get out there and make an impact on social media or other channels. So what I will say is, there is no like right or wrong when it comes to a minimum. It is really going to depend on platform. I would recommend researching the average cost per click in different search or social advertising environments to estimate, you know, it's really going to come down to your goals, right? So like if you want to get 10 clicks a day and you have a $10 budget, then you better hope that your average cost per click is $1, right? So that you can get those 10 clicks. If your average cost per click is $10, right, you're only going to be able to afford 1 click a day, which is fine, but that 1 click better convert, right? So I think it's more of setting your expectations and your goals accordingly. So maybe you do start with that 1 click a day, and that's fine, right? You start with that 1 click a day and you start to grow a little bit more and, you know, have, again, that cross-channel experience for your customers. As you build your online presence, naturally more and more people are going to find out about your business and then inherently increase your ROI. Also, I will say that for marketing in general, we tend to find that, you know, small businesses just starting out in digital marketing might be spending 5 to 10% of their revenue on marketing. So that can kind of give you a rough estimate of your overall marketing spend for like the year. But for more established businesses, multi-location businesses, enterprises, things like that, we tend to see that number climb up to as much as 12 to 14% of revenue going towards marketing. So hopefully that gave you a rough guideline. Great question. Lydia asks, should a company be on 5 different social media platforms just to have a presence? Absolutely, Lydia. That's basically what I'm saying. You don't have to have the most superstar, super interactive, insane presence on every single platform. No, that's not realistic and it's not feasible. I get that. You know, you don't always have the resources for that, but you do need to be on there, right? You do need to be active. You want to have an official page, because basically you don't want someone to try and look for your business on the platform and just have a really poor experience, right? Have you ever had that happen where you try to look up a business on social media and you don't find them, or you find a page but it doesn't have a picture or a logo, looks a little sketchy? That's kind of what I'm insinuating. So at least try to put in the effort of, you know, having an organic presence across as many social platforms as possible is really going to pay off. And then you can build that out over time. So there are tons of other questions coming in. I wish I could answer all of them. As you can tell, I could talk about social media marketing and digital marketing all day, every day. Thank you all so much for joining. Reminder that you'll get the materials in your inbox later today. Be sure to be on the lookout for other webinars. We do them monthly. Thank you all for joining. I hope this was helpful, and I hope you all have a wonderful day. Thanks so much.